New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-93000. Now here's Steve.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to New Life Live. It is Steve Arterburn here. Really glad you're with us here today on a Thursday. Joining me, Dr. Sheri Keffer. She is the author. Hi there. She's the author of Intimate Deception, and right now she is not deceiving anybody. She's telling the truth. It's not about her intimate deception. It's about other people that deceive them in the most intimate of ways. What a horrible thing. I've been through it. It's such a horrible thing to go through. But you've really written a book of hope. And if you've never read it, you could get it at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. So, Sheri, it's out of your own story.
It is. And you know, what's so weird about deception and lying is you don't see it. It's like gas in the room. If somebody is using pornography or is sexually acting out with somebody else, they don't come to you with consent and say, hey, I'm just thinking about going and locking myself in my room for a while, or going to the bathroom and looking at porn, or you know what, there's this woman at work and I just want to let you know I'm interested in her sexually, and so we're going to meet tonight. That's the insidious part of it, is it happens without us knowing. And that causes symptoms of post-traumatic stress once you begin to find out. But this is the hope, Steve, is even though it starts with intimate deception, it doesn't have to stay there, because we believe in bringing truth and safety into relationships here at New Life. And we have a whole plethora of workshops, resources, books, conversations that you can have with us so that you can be in that situation but not stay in it.
Yep. And probably, I don't know, maybe I'm biased, but I don't think so. Probably the best thing you could do for intimate connection is to come to our Intimacy in Marriage weekend, and that's on February the 14th. The amazing, wonderful, healing, transformational weekend. Let's go right to the phones. How about that? Let's go to Jennifer. She's calling us, Shreveport, Louisiana. And she listens on the New Life app, which is really easy to listen to us on. Hi there, Jennifer. How can we help you today? What's going on?
Hello. Thanks so much for taking my call. I'm honored to speak with you guys. You guys are like family to me.
Thank you. How can we help?
My question is about grieving. My husband and I have not had a sex life for years. And I'm wondering, we've done a lot of things to try to get to the bottom of it, but I'm wondering if, and I should say also, I'm pretty shut down toward him in that way. So I'm wondering if I need to do some grief work on the loss of our sex life over the years before I can actually forgive him and re-engage.
So what is the source of, when all of this stopped, what was going on when it all went away?
I have asked myself that so many times. I can't quite pinpoint it. It feels like I've done more work than my husband as far as answering that question. But we've gone the medical route, blood tests, blood work.
And is that all normal?
It was at that time, but that's been a few years now.
Yeah.
And I think I just lost heart over time.
Okay. So, sounds like what we're talking about is sexual intercourse and function, performance, things like that. Maybe we can approach it from a different angle here a little bit.
So he's having issues with performance, right?
I think there's an intimacy issue as well, just a block there.
Okay. All right. We'll take a break and come right back for more New Life Live.
I feel blessed to have had this opportunity for my needs to be met, connecting with other women who are fighting the same fight, hoping for healthy marriages and growing closer to the Lord on their journey.
My name is Sheri Martinkus, and I want to personally invite you to the Restore Workshop. If you have been affected by betrayal, it might be that your husband has been looking at pornography, it might be an emotional, a physical affair. I would love for you to come join us.
I feel encouraged and hopeful that even in my struggle, I am enough.
You will leave with hope, with a community of sisters ready to support you, and you will also leave with tools to move you forward on this journey.
Through the sharing in our small group, I realize that I am not alone.
Please don't hesitate. Pick up the phone, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. I would love to see you there.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Southern California February 28th to March the 1st. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. And Jennifer, let me just talk a second here. When people come to our intimacy and marriage weekend, a lot of times they've been in the same place that you are, and it's literally been years or sometimes decades. Somebody has had a wonderful sexually intimate experience with each other. And what's sad about that is that when we are intimate sexually, it is a bonding experience beyond anything else. It is a way of saying all that I am is available to you, and it can build intimacy. Now, as you said, well, this isn't just a function problem. You think he has an intimacy problem. And one of the things that we talk about on the weekend is that more bad sex doesn't help anything. You know, that's it makes it worse. And then eventually, someone like yourself, you just shut down. So I'm just going to tell you that if there's any chance of breaking through his intimacy problem, the connection piece, then that would happen at our intimacy weekend. And so that's where you've got to start with this. And I'm really glad that you were able to see that. For you to open up to him, he needs to connect with you. You need to have a heart-to-heart connection before you could be open to anything. Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. And
Okay.
we both, the one thing we have going for us is we're such great friends, so we can talk through anything.
Okay.
He went to Every Man's Battle. I went to Restore. So we've just checked the boxes we've known how to check, and we're just, looking for the next
Jennifer, you need to check one more box. And I'm just telling you, it could really do that part of connection. Then the second thing is, so often we shut down when sexual intercourse becomes difficult, when there are a lot of people that cannot have sexual intercourse, but they do have a sex life, or they're sexual with each other, and they find different ways for that to be a great experience for them. And so, but that's not going to happen if you don't even feel there's any kind of heart-to-heart connection there. Sheri, what are you thinking here as you listen to me talk?
So, Jennifer, when's the last time your husband's looked at porn?
I just asked him that actually the other day. He said it's been probably a couple of years.
Okay.
When we separated for about a year's time due to some of these issues, and that's when he went to Every Man's Battle because it crept back up on him again, that habit.
Right.
So I would say a couple of years.
And he's willing to say, I'm 100% being honest with you right now.
Yes, that's what he said.
Okay. Well, the reason I'm asking, so is he struggling with erectile dysfunction? Do you know what that is?
I'm wondering about that.
Yeah. Well,
yes,
and I'm not, I know God. I know God and I love God, but I'm not God. So I don't know what's going on in your marriage, and I don't know what's going on in his recovery. But let me just tell you what I do know. The brain has a set of checks and balances that help to keep the body and the brain working well. And it needs a certain amount of dopamine to help have us have positive mood and to be motivated and have energy for doing things. And dopamine brings pleasure. But when there's too much dopamine, and that's one of the chemicals that is released when someone is looking at porn, God, in his mercy, built in this a wonderful stopgap. It's basically what happens is men, if they're looking at porn and masturbating, they basically find out that their body parts aren't working, right? And they end up with, erectile dysfunction. And they think it's something that's wrong with them. That's why I love that you guys went and got all the testing, right, done to see that he's okay. His testosterone levels are okay. That was good to check out something medical first. But when that came out normal and he's still struggling with that, there's two things that are happening. Either one is he's still using and he just hasn't brought that forward. Or two, because of all that porn that's in his head, he is struggling to re-engage with you as a real live woman. Because they can't compete. We never can compete with all that crazy, slick pictures that are, they're so repulsive. But because he had an appetite for that, it takes time and intentionality in order to re-engage with arousal with our body so that we can turn them on again. Right? And so
I believe that is in play. I believe that what you said is in play.
The second thing.
I can see the exhaustion. The second thing. I can see the exhaustion on him at times, and I wonder if his mental wheels are just turning all the time, like that overstimulation of thought. That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah. So this is what
I wonder if that's going on.
Totally. I would have you all do exactly what Steve said. Come to our intimate intensive, and then you guys might need to get into somebody that is a specialist in healthy sexuality, a therapist that can help you guys repair and rebuild and engage after. I wouldn't have you leave yet, girl, because I think this is part of the repair process that we don't think about. This is one of the consequences of porn, and there are people that can learn how to re-engage sexually and recover some of that sexual intimacy, but I think y'all need help to get there.
Yeah, a person that has kind of a simple problem with sexual intimacy and porn's gotten involved, and they stop and then they start building character and stuff, things can fall in place. But if it's a very, very long history, you don't know how it started. Sometimes it can begin with abuse, all sorts of other things. When it doesn't all fall in place, you simply early on need to be saying, okay, what else do I need to do, and get not just medical help, but sometimes you need to sit down with some specialist in the area of sexual intimacy. But most people that come for us, they find themselves attracted to each other. They find themselves wanting to go deeper intimately, not just sexual intimacy, but in so many other areas. And we work on all of it together.
Can I send her a copy of my book? Because I've got a chapter in there for you, girl. It's called Remember When Sex Was Safe and Skydiving Was Dangerous. And if we can send her a copy of my book, Intimate Deception, Healing the Wounds of Sexual Betrayal, I want her to have some hope in light of looking can heal and their coupleage can be restored.
We'll do it. And also, I think it's, I'll send you the Mediterranean Love Plan, because there you've got 7 different cultures and ways to be intimate. Only one of the 7 talks about sexual intimacy, and the other is all sorts of different ways to be intimate, have fun, and enjoy the relationship. Let's talk to Susan from Atlanta, Georgia, listening on WNIV. Hi, Susan. How are you?
I'm not great. How are you?
I'm not great either, but we're here, so how could we help today?
So I'm struggling with next steps in a very broken marriage.
Okay.
I just don't know if it's a Christian thing to give up. And what's happened is my husband and I are both, it's both a second marriage for both of us. We both went through horrible divorces and custody battles with our first marriages. Where we are right now is we are physically separated. He's been out of the house since May 1st, and our plan was for us to separate, work on ourselves individually, and then come back together after a no-contact time period and see where we are. During this
and
time...
somebody's kind of guiding that along there for you?
Yes, I'm working with an amazing Christian counselor. He is working with a counselor that is a secular counselor. And during this time period, he has gotten more explosive. And what happened that changed everything was 3 years ago, I got diagnosed with a very invasive and aggressive form of hereditary breast cancer.
Oh, my goodness.
The second the call came in, literally, he started attacking me, screaming and yelling at me when I was trying to, figure out what to do, who to call, how to get into a doctor immediately. And it's like he snapped. And from that moment on, I can't even tell you the horrible things that have happened. There's been physical abuse when I've been exceedingly sick. He's left me for a week at a time when I didn't know where he was. After I had a surgery, I had 5 surgeries in 364 days.
Susan.
He left me in a hotel room.
Susan,
Sorry.
This is horrible. Now let me ask you this. When he was physically abusive, what kept you from calling the police?
I hit him back. And I was scared that we would both go to jail. So I did actually go to the police at one point, and I fought back, Steve. I'm not proud, but I fought back, even hurting myself.
Well, I'm so sorry. Why are you? Why are you trying? Is there any indication that he's going to be different?
That's what my counselor has told me. I just kept hoping that things would change. And she's literally said to me now, because he joined us in many of my counseling sessions, so she saw him. She said to me, what if this is who he is? But I'll tell you the biggest reason why. It's fear. Because my diagnosis, I have a 47% chance, even with medication, that my cancer, a different cancer will appear in my body that's unrelated.
Well,
I don't work right now.
Okay, so everybody talks about the emotional and the spiritual aspects of healing. You've heard all about that. Aren't you afraid of just being exposed to this, and in all of this that it keeps you sick and or not?
Yes, but I start to get up in my head and I start to think, have I given it enough? Maybe, last year I wanted to come to the Finding Freedom seminar in October, and it just didn't work out. And I feel like I'm waiting for that peace that transcends understanding. I've read so many of y'all's books, Safe People,
that peace,
Point.
One of the scriptures I like is, when you wink at wrong, it causes trouble, but an open rebuke brings lasting peace. So to me, there's going to have to be some pretty major stuff happen, and I think you got to ask yourself, is he, or ask him, willing to do anything other than the two of you go to these counselors, separate counselors, and you just sit there and get sicker and watch time go by? Sheri, help me here. What do you think is the best path for her that might help her in any way? Yeah, sure.
Sheri, he has repeatedly said, we need to go to marriage counselor, we need to go to marriage counselor. And I haven't been willing to. I wanted us to get well on our own and then see a marriage counselor. And he repeatedly says he wants to reconcile, but he can't stand me. And right now I'm suffering from PTSD, nightmares. Sheri, to your earlier call, what's weird about him is he has like a separate life from me. There's so many lies and so much deception, but it's not with another woman. It's keeping his own family separate, his son, weird things. So he is willing to do that, Steve and Sheri, but
does he want to reconcile because he wants to own you? Or does he want to reconcile because he wants to hear you and help and surrender? Right? The Bible talks.
He wants to own me.
Okay.
It's all about power and control.
Okay. Well, and
I'm so scared. How am I going to support myself? I get sick again. And he's got me over a barrel. He knows it.
I guess, but you know what, girl? We're going to tell you that you're not over a barrel. You're actually one step away from owning you. We'll be right back.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back, and we're talking with Susan, and we on the program past couple of times Sheri and I have been on, we hear these situations where it just seems like the man is in control, the woman is controlled by fear, and we want to help you with that, because this thing of being helpless is hopeless. And well, Sheri, you're ready to share with
I
a
am,
couple
Susan.
of things.
You're like a blast from my past in a very honest way. And I love that you started the call with "I'm not doing well," because I love that you're not faking it. You're really in a dire straits. I had before I made my step and started finding myself, owning myself, and surrendering myself to God, who I had to trust with some really my dark days too. I had this quote above my desk that said this: decide what you want, decide what you're willing to exchange for it, establish your priorities, and go to work. Because I was afraid too. I didn't know how I was going to take care of myself. I didn't know how I was going to even feed myself. So those are very real things, and I wanted to share with you this verse in Psalms that I like. It was either, Lord, you're going to be faithful to what you say in your Bible, or this is just a farce. I was that desperate. And it says this, it's in Psalms chapter 33, verse 18. And it's 18 and 19, and it says this: surely, surely, the eyes of the Lord are on those who fear him, on those whose hope is in his loving devotion, to deliver them from death and to keep them alive in famine. Now, you have had to face death with this cancer.
Yes.
Okay. And you fear how you're going to take care of yourself. Right? Now, you have an almighty God who sees what's going on and who is going to help you walk this out. But he can't help you as long as you are in. If I was working with you, I would build these incremental steps to start helping you own you, to build a core. I would be talking about very real things, like facing the fear of your illusion that I'm not going to be cared for. Well, you know, you're in Atlanta, Georgia, and there's laws around divorce, and there's probably going to be something, some little nest egg that you're going to be able to get, even if you do split the finances. Now, you're going to have to face the fact that you may have to have a job. And so I would be having you look at what you could do now. I've had women start. Go ahead.
Yes, we've been doing everything that you've said.
I love your therapist, but I love your therapist.
She's so amazing.
I know.
Sheri,
so you're going to have to hold on to her, and you're going to have to hold on to God, but you've got to get out of fear, because fear is holding you hostage.
It is. It is. And one of the issues with working is just the physical ability to do so, what I can do.
I know. So
I
just
can't do what I used to do.
I get it. So start part-time, girl, and you're going to tell your body, you're going to help your body relearn what you can. Right?
And Sheri,
5 hours, 10 hours, you build up. Go ahead.
Sheri, what about her fear of her refusing marriage counseling with him because he just wants control? Don't you think you can get into the marriage counseling and say, first session, here's my fear that we're here out of control or whatever? I mean, I would like to see them doing something together in addition to her getting this kind of help on her own.
Are your therapists?
So it is time.
Are your therapists talking with each other?
They are.
Okay.
They absolutely are. And that's been very helpful, because she's been able to tell me kind of on, the most professional way that the therapist didn't see me in like real life. We did meet one time, the four of us. He's been following me, doing all these intimidating things. My therapist talked to his therapist, and now his therapist is finally not believing him.
Right, because he probably went into therapy and was kind of talking smack about you, right? And that happens a lot of time. But
he also expressed so many times in his therapy, my counselor put it so great, remorse and all of these, different emotions. But my counselor pointed out that when she was seeing him, it's tearful is not remorseful.
Right. Well, let me do this. I want you to start building your core first, not to rule out what Steve suggested, right, as far as a marriage counselor. But you've got to own you, because if he's had power, if there's some power and control issues, you're not strong enough to push back yet. You're not strong enough to say, no, this is what I can do. I'm able to take care of myself. You got to know that before you enter back into the ring. So give yourself some time. Grow your muscles emotionally and spiritually. Trust God and start taking some steps.
Our intimacy in marriage weekend is kind of like a graduate school that you can go to before you even go to kindergarten, because some people, they don't know anything about how to be intimate, how to connect. But here is this that we put together, and we think, hope and pray it's the most powerful thing that is out there. You don't have to have a PhD to learn how to connect with somebody's heart, but you have to learn how to get around and beyond some of the things that you've used as fatal excuses to keep the relationship from growing. That's what we want to help you do. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
My wife had found me out through my past and my sexual addiction since I was a small child. It really gave me the opportunity to start digging into my past, start digging into my childhood, figure out what was causing me to feel the way I was feeling. Every Man's Battle will really give you that opportunity because all the guys there in that room are there for the exact same reason you're there. I don't want to be the reason that my kids are going to counseling. I don't want to be the reason that they begin to struggle with the same issues that I'm struggling with, and I've got to put an end to this. Yes, you can be different. God does love you. You can be forgiven for this, and there's a way out of this. But you have to acknowledge that you have to change, and that there's a problem.
If you're struggling, call us. There are people on the other end of the line who want to hear from you, who want to help you. We don't want you to hand down into another generation that just looks like pain and destruction. You can hand down redemption, but you got to take that first step. Just give us a call. It's 1-800-639-5433. It's 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life Live stay in the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you a set of 4 devotionals, 100 Days of Character, Peace, Prayer, and the newly released 100 Days of Healing. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops.
I did go to Take Your Life Back. That's been immensely helpful to me. That's why I continue to support the ministry with the hope that not only am I helping my own situation, that I'm helping others as well.
Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. I'm going to go right to Dave, Charleston, South Carolina, listening on Sirius XM. Dave, how you doing? What's going on?
How are y'all doing today?
Doing okay. How could we help you?
Well, I first of all, I've listened to you for the first time here in the last couple of hours. So my situation is not in relation to any marriage situation or anything like that, or any issues there that I did.
We do allow people. We allow people to have their very own problem and just solo problem.
Yeah,
so,
I hear you.
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess to get to the crux of it, I'm in a situation where been dealing with depression. First of all, I'll be 49 in May, so I've been dealing with depression for a long time in my life. Probably started from the age of mid-teens. Never was seeing a doctor about it. Back in those days, you saw your same pediatrician sometimes till you were done and home from college. So it was not something I ever saw anybody about or whatnot.
Okay,
I've
so
gone
tell
through
us.
different times in my life.
Let's stick to today. What's going on today with your depression?
Pretty debilitating. Don't really have any issues with alcohol or with drug addiction at all. But I have a situation where I don't have health insurance, haven't been able to get the ability. I've tried to get the help that I think I need as far as focus groups or other resources. It just seems like it's really hard when you're dealing with. Yeah.
Are you working?
I'm sorry.
Are you working?
Not currently. I'm getting ready to hopefully get back to work. But that's something that I'm working on right now. But I guess my biggest issue is that I don't even know how to get into it in a phone call. But very lonely, very isolated, and I do have a relationship in my life which has been very helpful. Gotten back in more to my faith. I was raised Catholic, so that's been helpful. But I'm kind of in this same loop that's reoccurring, and it feels like sometimes I just can't break out of it.
So I guess what I hear your brain's talking, Dave. What is keeping you from being on medication right now?
I do go to a clinic, to a doctor who's prescribed several medications, and the ones I have tried have never seemed to we both agree have worked for me. So
you're not on anything right now?
On
you're not on in any?
No, ma'am. No, I'm not.
Okay, so this is what I want. I'm going to triage you a little bit here, Dave. I want you to find another doctor. I want you to come in with a list of medications that you have been on. I want you to find a psychiatrist that specializes in depression, because it sounds like your psychiatrist has felt stuck. And that's a really bad place to be in, right? If you're feeling like he said, well, I'm kind of throwing my hands up, you're going to need to get on some meds, because your brain collapsed right now. And you will not be able to find the motivation you need without the medication. I can hear it in your voice.
Depressed people are very poor. Depressed people are very poor decision makers about how to deal with their depression. The medicine helps you be able to use your brain to work for you, not against you.
I'm working with somebody right now that we've been working for a few months, and he just got on some medication, and I'll tell you something, he looked lighter. His forehead looked lighter. His eyes looked perkier. I mean, it is weird how it can help. It's beautiful. So go get that.
And the second thing is you have to move your body every day. You have to exercise. This most recent studies show that a lot of people, the result is just as profound with exercise as medication. So you get medication and you exercise at the same time. Now you have a chance to be able to go get a job and keep a job. But also you have to look at your diet, and you have to, you said on the drinking and stuff, but depressed people should not be eating sugar, because it causes all sorts of mood swings and brain difficulties. There are things that you can do, such as, versus have greater interest in your faith, go get involved in a men's Bible study and get yourself talking to and relating to other men, as uncomfortable as that is. These are the fundamentals of turning depression around. I was on antidepressant medication in college. That's how early chronic depression was, or I was dealing with it and struggling with it. So I know what it's like to be stuck and not want to do anything that is the very thing that could turn it around for you.
So can we send him Feel Better Fast and Make It by Dr. Amen? Because you need that Feel Better Fast thing.
Yeah, and I'm going to send you a Life Recovery Bible and the workbook. And there you're working the steps, and the steps transform your thinking too, from the inside out. I'm just telling you, everywhere it says problem, you say, I am powerless over my depression, but I'm not helpless. God can help me, but I got to be willing to do the stuff that God provides for it to get better. All right, let's go to Keisha from Chicago, Illinois, WWKJ. Keisha, how are you?
Hi. Thank you for taking my call.
What's going on?
I was trying to make it really quick. Long story short, I'm separated from my husband right now. It was a really unhealthy relationship. He had multiple affairs, verbal abuse. He suffers from mental illness issues that he has yet to address until now. We've been separated for about 5 months. He has started going to therapy on his own. My real question is, though, in this time we've been separated, we've continued to have a sexual relationship, and I don't really know how to feel about that. Is it wrong? Is it okay because we're still married? Or I don't really know what position I should be taking in that.
Oh, honey, my heart is hurting for you right now, because there's somewhere in you that you have put his affairs, and you've blocked out your own heart over your need to be safe. Right? Because he's had affairs. And for some reason, you have not been able to say no. You've not been able to put a boundary down because you don't know if he's still having them right now. You don't know if he's, you could get an STD right now. But what about you doesn't value yourself enough to put a pause on your sex life until you know he's sexually sober?
Right.
What is that?
I can't really say exactly. I think that it might be layered. Like, one, just very practically, we've been together almost 10 years, so I'm not really used to not having sex anymore, and I don't want to have sex with anyone else. So there's like being able to express that. I guess I haven't gotten disciplined enough yet to just do without it, period.
But why, how is not the fact that he's been with other women, how is that not hurting you?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I'm just kind of dead in that area. Like, it doesn't
I agree with you.
I don't feel anything about it.
So let me tell you where you are, my dear. You're in denial.
Okay.
Yeah, denial is the thing that causes us to feel dead inside, because then we don't have to look at it. We don't have to feel. It's like you're afraid to let go of that sweet connection that you have sexually. There's this, you feel good about yourself, and for those momentary, like breadcrumbs, you're holding on to that instead of looking at how he betrayed you and has placed your marriage in a harmful place. I have a chapter in my book called Remember When Sex Was Safe and Skydiving Was Dangerous. And you're basically sexually acting out with him to avoid the fear of looking at what's happened and looking at the fear of what it would be like maybe to not to honor your body and to shut the sex down for a bit until you know you're safe. So you might be afraid of being alone. Right?
And there are things that could still happen where he could be restored and you could be restored and you could be married. He needs to go to every man's battle. He needs to get his sexual integrity on track. Then you've got, if you're willing to be sexually intimate with him now, there's a great chance you'd be willing to stay married to a man with sexual integrity. We'll be back after this.
She said, we need to talk. She's asked me for the first time if I would consider myself a sex addict. I thought it was just about admitting the things that I had done wrong. I never had a clue that it was about redeeming our story. I thought it was just about coming clean on what I had done. I had no idea how to help her with her pain. She was a mess, I was a mess, and we got divorced. Going to EMB, surrounding myself with these other men, they accepted me for who I was and what I had done, but they challenged me to step up and do better. They'll be around other men who are not just pointing the finger, but willing to get in and wade through it with them, get in the trenches. They'll get hope from this workshop. Take my sweet wife and my story. We were divorced, remarried, and on our way to what I think will be the sweetest years of our lives. It's no longer simply about surviving. For the first time ever, we're thriving, enjoying where we're at.
Hey, listen, if you're struggling, we want to see you at the workshop. Give us a call, 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again. You seem to be able to get to the crux of the problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
With so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE, 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. Sheri, you had one more comment there.
Yeah, it breaks my heart, with Keisha and her story and so many other women that I think in this denial phase, right? We can be married, but when a man has been sexually acting out, he's used to women spreading their legs and then we just give ourselves. It's like we prostitute ourselves out, and there's no value around marital fidelity. There's no value around our body and sharing that. So I want her to draw boundary sexually and to protect herself. And anyone else listening, your body it's a temple of the Holy Spirit, and God doesn't want our temple to be abused and used sexually. It's kind of a smack in the face of why God created sex in the first place. So can we send her my book, Intimate Deception,
Sure.
Healing the Wounds of Sexual
Absolutely.
Betrayal? Because I think it will help her.
Coming her way. All right, Larry Sonnenberg, you're in the studio with a great testimony. Let's hear it.
I am. Every Man's Battle. This man said, I knew that this would be a great program based on my friend's experience, but I didn't know what to expect. My expectations were blown out of the water. What I gained from this weekend is a new community of great men called to relationships and more life tools and skills to help myself, my wife, and others. I thank God. Thank God for this tireless work. I was not sure what to expect, but I walk out of here with connection to self, others, and mainly God, to a relationship with Him that I never knew I needed. I walk out of here with hope. That's why we ask you folks to give. We can give hope. We can give help. We give relationships to God back to people. Mm-hmm. And I like doing these testimonies because I get tired of asking for money. I don't want to ask, will you please give? But I want you to give because you hear the heart of what this ministry does and the changes that happen. So if you can help us, please do.
So no matter what, he said, didn't know what to expect. Most men come, they expect something horrible or shameful, and then they find out it's just hope and healing, and there is no shame. And we want you to come to Every Man's Battle. If you can help somebody go through that doesn't have the money and then they have a life of sexual integrity, that's a pretty wonderful thing. A lot of people would never hear about it if it wasn't for this radio program. And so supporting us is supporting us trying to reach out and help other people. Then you become part of the giving family of New Life. Please do call us, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Thank you, Larry. I love it that you go to Every Man's Battle every month, and you're really on top of what's happening to folks. I mean, they really, really are.
And a week from tomorrow, so guys, sign up. A week from tomorrow.
And ladies, call us, find out about it, and tell him, okay, it's time for you to make the change. Let's go to Anna, Toronto, Canada. Listen on the podcast. How you doing, Anna? What's going on?
Hi, good afternoon to you and Sheri.
Hey. Hey, Anna.
Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I just wanted to ask some questions today as to what does healthy boundaries look like with my mother-in-law? Not for me, but from her son's side of things, because I have respectfully detached myself from her and not have any ties with her right now. But
what does she do that's so upsetting to you? What does she do that you hate?
Well, we kind of had a little relationship where we prayed together, we got to know each other and stuff, but I started to see some sides of her that was really toxic, to a point where when
Tell me what they are.
certain things, she would so when we talked, she would take in and ask all those questions about life and my family and what plans her son and myself had. But when she wasn't having her way or getting her way through to him or his money or whatever that was, she would just start to speed out things and talk things like, she does not think she would just say things that's very insultive, and her son is stupid for the decision he's making, the type of women he's getting involved with. And I was just like, where is this coming from? And just things that would, very hurtful things that I just saw a different side that I was never really exposed to. But only
so
when
are you
she
saying,
get away.
okay, are you saying that the comments by her are all negative toward her son? Is that what's happening?
I would say it's both ways, to her son and the decision of choice of whoever he's with, that she just thinks it's never good enough, and it's
So I imagine his mom and dad didn't have a good relationship. True, there was either no father or a very tense marriage. Was there no father?
No father.
Okay,
His dad
and
walked out on her when he was 6 weeks old.
okay, you know why I knew that? Because your son is married to his mom.
That's right.
Nah, isn't that weird how you knew that when I just said that phrase? It's called enmeshment, mother enmeshment. And when there is a mom who doesn't have a supportive partner, and she puts her weight fully down on this young boy, it can feel like to him that there's this undertow with his mom, and he's got to make her happy. So I'm going to I want you to get this book. It's called Married to Mom, and it's by Dr. Ken Adams. I know. He's one of my supervisors. I really respect him, but it is probably going to shed some light on the issue. But guess who's the one who's going to have to cut the umbilical cord emotionally? And I don't mean never talking to her again, but he's going to have to really be willing to have her not be happy for a while. And so he's going to need your support to do that. If you read the book and it makes sense, then get help. And Dr. Ken Adams even, does some, workshops for men like your husband. Or he could come to Finding Freedom, because we've got Finding Freedom, and he needs freedom from his mom so they can attach better to you.
Yeah, because it's really bad, Sheri. Like I've learned to understand that I cannot just get him to cut ties, or not even that. That's not what I want, but to have boundaries, because they have a connection that is really deep.
I know.
Well, and here's the thing. Here's what I want to suggest. If intimacy in marriage, here's what happens is you go to this workshop.
That would be a great thing, Steve.
You could still get there. You go to this workshop, and then somebody says, some of you aren't able to connect and have a meaningful relationship because your relationship is more with mommy or daddy. You've never fully left them so that you could be part of this new relationship, and you're hanging on to things like, well, I have to honor my mother or honor my father, and you're blowing it. And so in the big session, somebody says this, and then the lights start to come on. Then you go into a group and you work on this. Anybody have this in common? What you heard in the big session about, it seems like my husband's more committed to his mommy than to me. And then now it's there. Otherwise, you just kind of keep with this, and it's nagging, and you don't know what to say about it or how to approach it. So that's why we love Intimacy in Marriage Weekend, because you deal with the real stuff that's preventing the intimacy from happening. It really could make all the difference. Imagine trying to be intimate with somebody emotionally, physically, and spiritually with 100 mosquitoes biting you at the same time. Be a little bit difficult. Well, we've got these mosquitoes out here. All of this stuff. And I want to tell you, you come to that weekend, it clears it up. You can find out about it at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You can help us. You can help us get people there. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Every Man's Battles next week. Thanks for listening. Thank you, Dr. Sheri. If you need some help, it's 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and I hope we'll see you here tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for...
Hi, Steve Arterburn here. Thanks for watching New Life Live on our New Life YouTube channel. You know, you can see it anytime. Hope you'll subscribe, and when you do, hope you'll turn that little button thing on, the bell, so that whenever we post a new video, it'll ring right through. Now, if you go to newlife.com, you'll see the schedule of when we're in the studio, which is helpful to know if you have a question for the program, or you could go to newlife.com or call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You could do this on the app. I mean, there's so many ways that you can stay in touch with us and know when we're there, because we want to answer your questions. So thanks for watching right here on the New Life YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time. Click here to subscribe.